You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Show Before the Show podcast returns from MILB.com. This is our last pre-holiday show. Is that a thing?
I mean, it is now.
Can we make it a thing?
That way? Yeah, it's our last.
It's our last pre-holiday show.
I feel like we don't have enough Thanksgiving Day related things. Oh no, we'll talk about that more next week. That's fine.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, that's true. It'll be a holiday week, I guess I should say, the next time that we do a show. Right. So it's our last pre-holiday week show. There, that works. Why not? We'll go that way. Yeah. I'm Tyler Vaughn. He's Sam Dykstra in New York City. What's going on, Sam?
Not too much. It's been a heck of a day so far. Trying to get this plane off the ground, but here we are soaring, right? That's the analogy we're gonna go with. Let's go with that. Let's just get started. The Show Before the Show podcast from MILB.com. Thanks for tuning in wherever you found us. You can find us elsewhere. If you found us on iTunes and Stitcher, you can give us a rating and a review and a subscription, all that kind of stuff. You can also find all of our past episodes at MILB.com/podcast, and we are there constantly at MILB.com/podcast as well. So if you missed anything, you can go back and find it. If you missed, World Series winning catcher Wilson Contreras when he got his season started by being on the MILB.com podcast back in February, you can go find that. So go check that stuff out as well. And strike one, we're just going to get right into it, Sam. Arizona Fall League coming to an end. We are days away from the conclusion of the 2016 AFL. We've had a lot of really, really big breakout type of performances down there. And we're going to be getting awards and all that kind of stuff soon. So the awards conversation will start there. Sam, who's your AFL MVP? Yeah, so for me, I'm just going to kind of go through this, I guess, MLB Network style and just give like three potential guys I think could win it and then break it down, the last one. Hopefully Kate Upton doesn't get angry at me for my choice.
She's spitting the fire tonight.
Yeah, that just happened as we're recording this to give you an idea of where we are in time while we're talking to you through your earphones or wherever you're listening to us. But, so my three picks, I think, for these would be my three AFL MVP finalists, are Zach Vinci, Gleyber Torres, and Jared Miller. So starting with the two position player prospects there. Torres, you might know a little bit better. He's, if not the top prospect in the Yankee system, he's right there with Clint Frazier, a guy acquired from the Cubs this year. In the Aroldis Chapman deal, he moved from Myrtle Beach over to Tampa, so he's coming into the Fall League this year, having only played the high A level, still only 19 years old, a pretty good shortstop, and everybody projects him to be a pretty good batter as well. Hit 270 this year with a 775 OPS, and then is just taking it to another level here in the AFL. This only happens over a couple weeks, so he's only played 17 games as of recording this, but he's had a 379 average, which is tied with Vinci for the best in the AFL, a 500 OBP, and a 621 slugging percentage. That 500 OBP is the best in the Fall League right now. He's walked 14 times, struck out only 7, which is incredibly favorable no matter what sample size you're talking about. 3 homers, 10 RBIs in those 17 games. So for a guy who's still a teenager, to face the level of competition that we're talking about in the Fall League, we're talking about between AA, AAA, that kind of talent generally. To see him thrive the way he has is really not necessarily surprising in the way that we know he's a top prospect. Could someday be a very impactful player for the Yankees or wherever he ends up. But the way he's been able to do that at this age, and as a guy who's got a career OPS of 761. To take that even above, right now, must make the Yankees extremely optimistic for his 2017 season. So he's one candidate over there. Vinci is a guy who's a little more off the map. You probably haven't heard of him coming into this year. He's 25 years old, was a 37th round pick in 2012 out of Pepperdine. This was a guy who this year hit 281, only had 3 home runs and a 708 OPS and 121 games at AA Pensacola. He's already eclipsed that home run total in Arizona. He's got 4 home runs this year down there, 2 triples, 7 doubles. Like I said, he also is tied with Torres for the league lead with a 379 average, but leads the league in both slugging at 727 and OPS at 1.181. So, he's gone from a guy who's just, not that great a hitter at the AA level to really thriving here in the Fall League. I mean, that whether that puts him on the map somewhere, whether he's really turning some heads, whether this is just a statistical kind of anomaly, we'll have to see what that means come spring. But, this is a showcase circuit, so he's certainly putting himself on the map there. And then Jared Miller is a pitcher, the one pitcher I'm going to feature here. Miller he's a guy who used to be a starter in the D-back system, actually started going back to his days at Vanderbilt, another one of those hashtag Vandy boys that I know the internet likes so much. This year has not given up a run so far for Salt River in 18 1/3 innings. He's only given up 6 hits in that span, only given up 4 walks. Meanwhile, he struck out 30 guys with a 0.55 whip. So he's just been absolutely dominant in the Fall League. And at a time when, bullpens are becoming more and more important, it felt like, with each coming series in the postseason, he's becoming almost a dominant reliever, climbed 4 levels in the D-back system this year. Wrote a tool shed on him a couple weeks ago. Actually, I think it was last week. So go read that on how he's kind of improving and how he accepted an assignment to the bullpen. His fastball is in the lower 90s, so not overly dominant there, but his breaking stuff has been truly special, I think, in the Fall League, and he's another guy taking a big jump. He's certainly in the conversation just as a guy who has not let anybody reach and isn't giving up any runs. He's only one of 2 guys who are qualified pitchers in the Fall League this year, with Edgar Santana of Surprise, who have not given up an earned run in this Fall League campaign. So between Miller, Vinci, and Torres, I think I give it to Vinci just because he's leading in so many categories that we really like. But I could see an argument for any of those other 2 as well.
No, I mean, I think it's really a 3-horse race. I think those are the 3 guys. If we had to list some fringe guys maybe behind those 3 contenders, I think Nick Gordon of the Minnesota Twins with Surprise, and Cody Bellinger of the Los Angeles Dodgers with Glendale. I think those 2 guys, you can make an argument for those 2 guys as well. Bellinger, the thing I really like about him is he is in the mix in pretty much every category in the leaderboard. He's not leading in things, but he's there in everything. He's got 10 extra base hits. That's second most in the AFL. His on-base percentage is .420. That's the 5th best mark in the AFL. His slugging percentage is .552. That's the 4th best mark. So it's like he's doing everything really, really well, where he's, on a 10 scale, he's like about an 8 at everything, whereas we see some other guys right now who are 9s and 10s at certain things, and maybe a little bit less elsewhere. Bellinger has just been really, really good across the board in everything that he's done, which has been really impressive. But yeah, I mean, aside from those 3, you'd have a tough time making an argument for anybody else, but there have just been some really, really impressive performances all around in the AFL this year. And, the fact that you have guys who are having that good of campaigns, who have separated themselves, almost takes away from the fact that these guys behind them are having really, really good AFL campaigns. You almost don't even notice them quite as much.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you brought up Bellinger, because he's a guy who, we kind of had down as a breakout prospect during the regular season, and the fact that he's carried that into the Fall League has been even more impressive. A guy who did really well at AA, then got the call up to AAA. This kind of seals his breakout year. Not to dabble in rumors too much, but there were rumors today that the Dodgers are interested in, Tigers second baseman Ian Kinsler, and then the other rumor that popped up was, well, if that was going to happen, the Tigers are really, really interested in Bellinger. And, people would start discussing of like, well, of course they should be. He's a guy who can play the outfield. He can play first base. He can handle both positions offensively and defensively, would fit either way. So Bellinger will be one to watch in 2017 no matter what, but the fact that he's able to carry what was a strong 2016 into this Fall League is only a point in his favor.
Strike two this week, Sam. AAA park factors. We're going to go talk a little bit about some of the extremes in AAA. This is a piece that's up on the site right now, and it's one of my favorite things that we've done from season to season, examining park factors at various levels. But you really have your yin and your yang, if you will, in Columbus in the International League and Colorado Springs in the Pacific Coast League. Tell us a little bit about what the data shows in AAA.
Yeah, so when I wrote this, I wanted to feature a couple parks that at least just stood out to me for various reasons. I mean, you can have your extreme hitters parks, your Las Vegases, your Renos, your Salt Lakes, your Albuquerques, those kind of things. Those are places that we always known have tilted towards hitters, specifically in the PCL. But in the IL, it's not really known as that much of a hitters league at all. I mean, it's pretty much right down the middle. When I looked at this, I wanted to include a table of where the individual leagues rank in terms of runs per 9, home runs per 9, and hits per 9. The IL was actually 14th among the 14 domestic leagues, not counting the complex leagues. But it was 6th in home runs and 8th in hits, so it's pretty much dead center. Pacific Coast was 4th in runs, 1st in homers, and 2nd in hits. So, again, it tilts towards home runs. So if we're thinking about IL right down the middle, what is a hitter's park by IL standards? And it turns out that that's Columbus. Charlotte used to be really, really hitter friendly, and I think Columbus just kind of usurped that a little bit this year for various reasons. I don't know what quite happened in Charlotte. Maybe next year Charlotte will take that again. Maybe it's a little bit of just some funky things happen with the numbers this year. But with Columbus, we're talking about a home run factor. If one is perfectly average or perfectly fair, and 0 is tilted towards pitchers, and anything above 1 is tilted towards hitters, Columbus was a 1.571 for home runs this year. So I got to talk to their manager, Chris Tremmy, just talking about that a little bit. And their park is a little funky in that left field and right field aren't exactly symmetrical. So it's a little bit smaller on the right side than it is on the left, and it doesn't quite go out straight in right field. It kind of goes at an angle and juts out a little bit. So that played into it a little bit. The wind played into it a little bit. But Columbus is now going to be a park that I'm going to be thinking about more as a hitter's park than potentially I did before, just based on this data. But Colorado Springs, I wanted to point out, just because whenever you hear the word Colorado and baseball, you're going to think of massive offensive numbers. And, the data back that up a little bit. Colorado Springs led the PCL this year in its run factor is a 1.554. So, again, that's 50% more runs scored there than your average, or what should be a perfectly fair park. The hit factor was 1.373, so again, more hits there than you would expect. But the home runs were down. The home runs were actually below average. It was 0.938. And for something that's at such high altitude, I think it's 1,000 feet higher than Coors Field there in Colorado Springs. Why are home runs down? So I talked to their manager, Rick Sweet. He explained, there's nary a day when they play in that park when it's not, double-digit wins coming in. He said you watch batting practice, if there's no wind at all, the ball flies out of the park. I mean, they take advantage of that, even with a humidor that they have in place there. But, on days when there's even a little bit of wind coming in, there are days when, no balls are getting out, and even in batting practice, never mind during games. So I just kind of found that fascinating. So as much as we want to think, so-and-so Brewers prospect is getting called up to, AAA Colorado Springs, we can expect a little more power out of him. That might be the case when he goes on the road, but we can't think that way when he plays at home in Colorado Springs for the Sky Sox. So that kind of goes up against, my own preconceived notion. I encourage people to check this out, just kind of pour over the numbers. We've got both the park factors for this year and the last 3 years combined, just to see how things kind of change year to year. We don't have Nashville under that 3-year table, just because it's only been there for 2 years. It wouldn't be fair to throw that in there. But yeah, just kind of give that a look over. And Columbus and Colorado Springs were the first two that came out to me. So I talked to their managers about it, and I encourage people to read about it on the site.
It is a really, really good piece, and it's up on the site right now, Toolshed for this week, and kind of gives you a look behind the curtain of why you see a baseball game in a certain place that feels so much differently than where you may see it elsewhere. And it's really, really good stuff up from Sam on the site right now. Strike three this week, Sam. Minor league free agent time has arrived, and this is always one of the most interesting times on the baseball calendar because we see guys who are making impacts at the major league level who were nobodies by this time last year. Guys who were signed, who were having big pushes through the end of the regular season into the postseason, who this time last year were unemployed as minor league free agents. This year, big crop of 534 free agents not cut loose, but either cut loose or contracts expired, that type of thing, but now out on the open market in minor league baseball. Is there anybody who stands out to you as somebody who you think you would definitely take a chance on and could make an impact down the road?
Yeah, so you mentioned before people should go back and listen to our previous podcasts. I encourage you to go back and listen to the one with Matt Bushman. Not only because we talked to him after his long road in the minors and getting called up to the majors, but I remember the question we asked him about what is it like to be a minor league free agent. We don't hear too much about that, what that's like. And I think for certain guys it's a little rough because, that means you've been in a system for years and they didn't get you the call and now your time is up with them. But for other guys, it means now they have options. Now they can kind of search out what the minor league landscape is, where they see themselves fitting in, what is the best road for them to the majors. So go back and listen to Matt Bushman's. He's actually now a free agent as well. 32 years old, right-hander, made 3 appearances for Arizona this year. 25 for AAA Reno, had a 5.26 ERA. So we'll have to see how that kind of shakes out for him. Now that he's in his 30s, I think it might be a little tougher for him, but certainly we wish him all the best. One guy who sticks out to me, just because I love his stat line just so much, is Williams Astudillo. He's a catcher. He started out in the Phillies organization, then went to the Braves this year. He was signed as a free agent last year, invited to spring training. This is just a guy who makes so much contact. It almost befuddles me how this is possible. The guy had, he appeared in 89 games this year for AA Mississippi, hit 267 and a 626 OPS. So not great numbers, that are going to push him up. That's probably why, he's not with the Braves anymore. But this is a guy who he had 322 at bats this year, struck out in only 11 of them, and then he only walked 5 times. So this guy just makes crazy amounts of contact.
None of that makes sense.
No, it doesn't at all. Like it befuddles me to no end. And he tied his career high this year with 4 home runs. So yeah, he had some decent pop. Not great pop, obviously. I'm not going to say 4 home runs is a 50 power tool, but I just want to see more of this guy. I'm not ready to see him go away yet. I want somebody to sign him. And he was a decent catcher too. He threw out 36% of attempted base stealers. So yeah, if some team is out there and you have a catching hole at AA or even Class A advanced, give Williams Astudillo a chance just to see if he can keep this going. He's a 25-year-old right-handed hitter out of Venezuela, not too old yet. Kind of the perfect age for AA if we're talking about free agents. So yeah. If a team's out there, I would love to see Astudillo get signed. Also, shout out to Tim Dillard, who is a great tweeter. I would love to see him still in the minor leagues. He might be kind of a little too old for that at this point. But, that would be great to see him catch on somewhere else and keep producing videos, if nothing else. But he's a guy who has seen some time in the majors. Shout out to him. Maybe he'll get something. Also, Balbuino Fuenmayor, also a free agent this year, just has a great story. A guy who went to independent ball in 2014, hadn't played above Class A in the Blue Jay system, gets signed by the Royals, has a breakout year 2015. This year, not quite as great, 291 average, 730 OPS, 6 homers in 101 games for AAA Omaha. But I would just love to see him get another chance, just to see what else he can do, at that top level, try to crack it. After he had fought his way back to the minors to begin with.
The Great Balbino, as they call him. One of the names that stood out to me, and this isn't a traditional minor league free agent name, but this is why this conversation is so wide-ranging, because it's not a career, a lifer minor leaguer, but a guy who is right now a minor league free agent, and I think would slip under a lot of radars if you hadn't seen his name on this list, and that's Aaron Crow. And Aaron Crow is the 9th overall pick of the Washington Nationals in the 2008 amateur draft out of Mizzou, went back to school, and then was the Royals' first-round pick in 2009 out of Mizzou and signed with the Royals out of college. He actually, I forgot the whole story, did not go back to school. He actually played independent ball from 2008 to 2009 after not signing in the first round. So played with an independent league team in 2008, and then 2009, gets into affiliated ball for the first time and really climbs the ranks pretty quickly, and he ends up in Kansas City by 2011. But his story is one that is pretty common with a lot of guys in this type of situation. Over 254 career major league appearances in relief, a 20-11 record, a 3.43 ERA, really good numbers, 208 strikeouts in 233 2/3 innings, but Tommy John surgery 2015. This year doesn't get healthy for a whole lot of action. He was actually in the Cubs system and pitched in 3 games, made 2 starts for the rookie-level AZL Cubs. So, next year will be his age 30 season, but he's a minor league free agent. This is a guy with a really high ceiling, a guy who's done stuff at the major league level already, who seems like he could be a contributor. And I use that just kind of as a point to show the types of guys who are out there. When you think about minor league free agent, you probably think this is a player who doesn't really have much of a road forward. Those guys are out there who really already have made big impacts in their careers or could still be primed to make big impacts in their careers. And that's something that I think you may not necessarily realize when you head into this type of the stretch in the calendar in the baseball offseason, is just how close some of these guys really are to being able to make impacts. Connor Gillespie is a guy who made a huge impact this year in the postseason for the San Francisco Giants. And when you make those climbs, sometimes they go quickly. He was in the big leagues by 2008, but he was a minor league free agent at the end of 2015. That's a guy who was in the Angels organization. Giants signed him off the scrap heap. There he is playing a starring role in the division series. So there are guys who are there on that doorstep. And this is where so much of that scouting work that teams do during the season, so much of, guys sitting around in Southern League games in July who just happen to write down a note about somebody, and then that guy becomes a free agent later on and a team picks him up for 2017. That's where all that work comes to a head. So it's pretty amazing how the engine operates in continuity, one piece working with another, that extends these guys' careers and sometimes sends them off to pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, and I think we have to highlight as much as we can that this is an opportunity for a lot of these guys. I mean, the draft system, you get placed with a team that you didn't pick. That's just the way it works, and you have to fight your way through that organization. If it doesn't work, well, now you're a free agent, and I don't know. That just sounds a lot more worrisome in the minors than it really is. I mean, for a lot of these guys now, they get a chance to kind of look out and see, okay, where is the best place for me? What is the clearest route? What have I heard from other organizations about the way they would handle somebody like, are they really good with pitching? Are they really good with hitting? Or, is a former coach of mine in another system, whatever. This is a chance to kind of choose their own destiny. So, free agency is an opportunity as much as anything else, is even in the minors.
And if you know a minor league free agent right now, give them a hug, because this is, you're walking on a razor's edge. This is the most stressful time of year for those guys.
As much as it's an opportunity, it is. I think
right.
Josh had a story on this last year.
Yeah.
I talked to like Matt Perk and a couple other guys about what it's like to be a minor league free agent and what you have to go through during that process. So I recommend people check that out when they get a chance.
Yeah, go back and give that a read, because that was a really good one. And that brings us to an end of this week's edition of Three Strikes on the 84th episode of the Show Before the Show podcast. Coming up, we're going to head to the Washington Nationals organization and catch up with Senior Advisor for Player Development Spin Williams, who was just named the winner of the 2016 Mike Coolbaugh Award in minor league baseball. We'll discuss what that means and a whole lot more with Spin Williams of the Washington Nationals next.
We're joined this week on the Minor League Baseball podcast with Spin Williams, National Senior Advisor of Player Development and 2016 Minor League Baseball Mike Coolbaugh Award winner. Spin, thanks for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. It's beautiful weather right now so far here in the Midwest, so things are going good.
There you go. Yeah, you always take that in the middle of November.
No doubt.
So you won the Mike Coolbaugh Award for, and I quote, an individual who has shown outstanding baseball work ethic, knowledge of the game, and skill in mentoring young players on the field. You kind of got into it a little bit before we started recording here, but what was your reaction when you found out you won, and how did you find out?
Well, actually, I was shocked to hear that I won it, and Doug Harris called me and asked if I could get on a conference call. He called me on a Monday and said, "Can you get on a conference call Wednesday? I want to talk about some stuff for the minor leagues." And I said, "Sure." And so anyway, to make a long story short, I called the number, and we started talking, and all of a sudden Pat O'Connor starts throwing stuff out at me that Pat and I go way back, 1981 in Greenwood, South Carolina. So it was surprising. He was on there, and then he told me that I had received this award and that I would receive it at the winter meeting. So as I told you guys before, I didn't know that much about the award, but after receiving it, obviously I got on the internet and read up on it and saw a lot of people that have won it in the past I knew and I know well. Woody Heike was actually my first manager in the Pirate organization back in 1979. So it's a really a privilege, and like I said, I was shocked, and it's a big honor for me, because I know there's a lot of people that in the minor leagues and have given their life to the minor leagues that have never gotten awards like this, that have retired and gone, either retired or have passed away. And I'm accepting that kind of this award in memory of all those people, whether they're living or they're passed. So it's a neat award.
Yeah, and we could list off your resume for you. You mentioned you worked in the Pirates organization before you move over to the Nats, become pitching coordinator now, as we said earlier, as senior advisor of player development. But kind of talk about your path through the game and what got you to this point, between those two organizations and working your way up, not only as a player but as a coach and a coordinator and now an advisor, what all those different roles were and how it's kind of gotten you where you are right now.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. I wanted to play professional baseball. My brother had played. He was several years older than me, and when I was a little kid, it was my dream to play professional baseball. And after my senior year in college at Winona State University in Minnesota, I didn't get drafted or anything, so I started going to tryout camps, and I got an opportunity to sign out of Toledo, Ohio, by a scout named Jim Maxwell with the Pirates. And he gave me, he said, "Do you want to play professional baseball?" I said, "That's why I'm here." And he said, "I can't give you any money, but I'll give you opportunity." And that's where it started. And just really loved the game and couldn't believe I signed, first of all. But then once I got in it, I knew I wanted to try to stay in it in some capacity. It didn't take me long, you guys, to really figure out that I wasn't good enough probably to play at the major league level. I was an older, obviously a senior sign, and the Pirates at that time were real young, and they were drafting high school and junior college guys, and I was, several years older than the guys in rookie ball when I started down there. So got that opportunity, and just kind of told some of the people that, including Woody Heike, Joe Facina and Branch Rickey and Murray Cook, and told them I'd like to stay in the game somehow in some capacity. And down the road, this is before they had pitching coaches and hitting coaches and everything at every level. They only had one roving coach and one roving pitching coach and one roving hitting coach. So the game has progressed that way. So I got an opportunity, got my foot in the door, and just grinded it out in the minor leagues for several years. And then Jim Leland and Cam Bonifay gave me an opportunity to be the bullpen coach in 1994 in the big leagues with the Pirates. So, and then got let go with them in 2005 and signed on with the Nationals in 2006 and did some scouting, amateur scouting for them, and went and watched pitchers for them and went and traveled around. And then the next year they asked me to be the coordinator of pitching. And I feel like both the Pirates and the Nationals have been really good fits for me because they were family orientated. They're really good people, and it's been fun, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Spin, what do you think your time in the system as a player did for you with gaining a little bit of perspective on just what it takes? I mean, you said, you kind of realized that the deck was stacked against you being a senior sign, and with, the way that the game is geared toward, especially nowadays, it seems like, the higher level prospects and the higher rounds of the drafts and all that kind of stuff. I mean, for you to be a guy who was a little bit older getting into pro ball and seeing what all it took to be successful in time, how do you think that influenced the way that you're able to see that in players and prospects throughout your coaching career and as you've grown as a coach and an administrator in an organization on how to help those guys?
Well, I think, not playing very, very many years at all, but just being a player and knowing how hard it really is helped me in coaching because I always go by the old saying that Rocky Bridges, one of my mentors, back in the Pirate organization, said, just remember how hard the game was when you played. And it was very hard for me, obviously. So, sometimes we as coaches and evaluators in the minor leagues especially forget how hard the game really is and what the kids are going through. And I think that was the biggest thing probably that my short time of playing helped me be more understanding of players. It really has changed a lot now because players are obviously more, they're a little different than they were back then. But I've grown with the players, and the players keep me young and keep me on top of my game as well.
When you talk about the way that this system has grown in Washington, we'll jump ahead a little bit. I mean, you got so much experience being able to build a system in the Pirates organization. And, one of the things I really like the Washington Post story by Chelsea Janes about you winning this award really emphasizes how much of the success at the major league level for the Nationals has come from how solidly the foundation has been laid in the minor leagues. And for you to be such a big part of that, what does this run toward these postseason appearances and, the fact that it seems like you guys are kind of on the doorstep of, making that World Series finally and that type of stuff. How much does that mean to you in relation to, not only what you've accomplished individually, but how that's related to the accomplishments of the organization at the major league level and continuing at the minor league level to develop so much talent?
Well, I mean, we're very proud of what we do in our organization, and we try to breed major league players, and we try to get our main objective is to try to get the best out of every player, whether they're major league caliber or double A caliber. Those double A caliber guys or high A ball caliber guys help us continue to develop our prospects that go to the big leagues. And I think the players that have played in our organization know that we care about them, number one. And number two is I think that they feel that we treat them fairly. And that's the biggest thing that I take away from this game and especially with the Nationals organization now is there's not many kids that come back and have many bad things to say about us because we go all out to treat those people like we want to be treated, and that's the way our minor league system is, and I think that's why we have a little bit more. I'm not saying more success than anybody else, but we've had good success. And let's get one thing straight. You gotta have good scouts and draft good and be able to sign good and good pro scouts to get those minor league free agents. Because, they got to have talent. But I think the players, for the most part, know that we care about them, first as a person and second as a player.
And kind of along those lines, I mean, over all these years, everybody kind of has a philosophy that they attach to the game, and you've worked with a lot of pitchers. So how would you kind of describe your pitching philosophy when you're working with these younger guys?
Well, I think, I guess my biggest thing was when I came over and took over as pitching coordinator after being in the big leagues for 12 years as a bullpen coach and pitching coach. I kind of understood. I was able to see a lot of games, obviously at the major league level. I knew what what it took to be a major league pitcher, and the biggest thing that my philosophy was not only to the pitchers, but to the managers and the pitching coaches and everybody involved in the development process, as well as some of the scouts that I had opportunities to talk to before the draft. But is that we want to do things that are going to work at the major league level. We don't want you to do something that you can be successful at A-ball, but it's not going to work at a higher level than what at A-ball. So we try to do things in the Nationals organization that really we don't have to reteach them once they get to the higher levels to pitch in the big leagues. We try to teach them what it takes to be a big leaguer right out of the chute, starting in rookie ball. And, that might be a release time, clicking it up to the plate, or pitches, or different ability. And but that's, we're there to breed and to develop big league pitchers. And I think that was one of the things that I was really a stickler on. That you could have success doing things at rookie ball that weren't going to work at the major league level, but we really talked about looking ahead and looking at the big picture.
And specifically, there's two Nats prospects I want to talk to you about that now that we have you here. Particularly developing them into major league pitchers, and Lucas Giolito and Reynaldo Lopez, both guys who had pretty good years at the minor league levels this year, upper levels. Couldn't quite crack the majors. With those two guys specifically, they would stand out in any organization. They specifically stand out with the Nats. What do they need to do you think, to get over that hump? For Giolito, I know it's a little bit of command. Lopez the same way, or control issues kind of the same way with Lopez. What are you guys going to be working on with those two come the spring to get them over that hump?
Well, first of all, they're quality kids, and they understand the process. And just a little story. Back in 2001, I had a guy named Jason Schmidt that had been in the big leagues for the most part of 4 or 5 years, and really hadn't found himself, and then found himself in 2001. And then all of a sudden, we ended up trading him. He went to the San Francisco Giants and became a pretty big part of their success for several years. So sometimes it's just the maturity and the time knowing that you belong there, and the experience of being there. So sometimes it takes a little, it takes just time and experience. But both those kids are their ceilings are, they got real high ceilings. I just think the consistency and knowing what they do is good enough. And I think, the biggest thing that any player that goes to the big leagues thinks they have to do more. And that just, a lot of that just comes with experience. They've shown ability to command the baseball, both of them, and they've shown above average off-speed pitches. They've shown the ability to hold runners and field their position at the minor league level. They just got to get to where they know that's what they have to do at the major league level. So we'll continue to pound the fundamentals and the basics of those things, but it's making pitches and not doing too much is something that comes with experience. So I think it's they need to, I'm not saying they're going to start in AAA, but if they start in AAA, they need to get some AAA innings under their belts. And they've both shown flashes even in the big leagues that they can compete there. So it's just a matter of time. And I know Mike Maddox, our pitching coach, and Dusty Baker, our manager, really like both of them. And they'll be in big league spring training, and they'll be able to put their hands on them as well. So it's it's a team effort with from the major leagues all the way down to the minor leagues. So I think they're knocking on the door, and I wouldn't be surprised to see both of them in the big leagues next year at some time.
Well, Spin, last thing for you. Obviously, a little bit removed now from the end of the regular season in Washington. And it's not just, people I think probably think about when the major league roster gets eliminated, that's sort of it. But it feels that way throughout the entire organization. That's one of kind of the interesting things is watching the way that the minor league prospects react. I mean, guys who played in, Auburn or in Hagerstown this year, whatever it is, who look at what's going on in the major league club, and they're in it hanging on every pitch. They're in it hanging on every out, the same way that fans and everybody else in the organization is. So, now that being a month removed from that, going into 2017, there's still so much on the table. And it's such a prime time for this organization to be in a good spot, chasing down, not only success at the minor league level, but at the major league level. I mean, when you guys get back into this in January and February, what's that energy going to feel like? Talking about, when somebody like Giolito or Lopez or whoever gets into major league camp, when you guys get there, when you hit the fields in Florida in February, what's that energy going to be like this time around?
Oh, I think it's going to be great. I'm very impressed with Dusty Baker and his staff this spring in the camp. Very personable, very caring about the players and getting to know the players well. Tried to create a family atmosphere from a standpoint of the team unity and not only the major league team, but as an organization. I thought that was a big thing. But our time is now. We want to win every year, and we've had opportunities in the last several years. We're right up there, and we've had a couple glitches in the road, but we expect to compete, and we expect to bring our minor league kids up and to help our major league club as well as whatever Mike Rizzo does from a free agent standpoint, but we just have to, as a minor league organization, as our development process continues, is we just got to continue to try to feed as many guys as we can to help them win games up there, and it's fun. It's to see our kids go up there and get a big hit or make a big pitch and get a big out, or to see them celebrate when we won the division. Man, I think everybody is so happy for not only the organization but for the kids that have worked so hard, to get there and we want a World Series. That's one thing I don't have is a World Series ring. I want a World Series ring, and I think that's the way our whole organization feels. And we know it's a tough road, and we just got to keep grinding and doing the things we do to develop players and see what happens.
All right, Spin. We'll leave you on this one. We've called you Spin. Your Baseball Reference page says Spin. The official release for the Coolbaugh Award called you Spin, but your real name, the name that was given to you, is Donald. So we gotta leave you on this one. Where did Spin come from?
Well, everybody thinks I could really throw a good curveball, but that isn't it. It's a great baseball name. First of all, it's a great baseball name, so it fits right in.
Yeah.
But back in the early '60s, there was a TV show called Spin and Marty, and I'm sure you guys are too young to even hear about it. But Spin and Marty was a TV show on the Mickey Mouse Club, and I hung around when I was 3 years old with a kid named Marty, and I was a junior. I was Donald Jr. So instead of calling me Junior, they nicknamed me Spin, and it just stuck with me. And I'm going to be 60 years old in January, so yeah, I guess I'll keep it.
Yeah, there you go. That certainly looked good on scouting reports, I'm sure, when you were coming up. But all right, well, thanks so much, Spin, for joining us. Congrats again on the Coolbaugh Award, and enjoy the rest of your offseason.
You guys, thank you, and good interview. Thank you so much.
Big thanks to Spin Williams of the Washington Nationals for joining the show before the show this week. Really good. It's always cool to get a chance to talk to player development people, and they are some of the most humble people on the planet. So when you have to listen to them talk about winning an award, and you can tell how uncomfortable they are in doing that, it's always so much fun. He's one of those guys, just humble and understands, that he is a cog in a very big machine, and it was really cool getting a chance to hear him talk about that.
At the same time, they also don't get to tell their story that much. For a guy
True.
who I think the highest level he reached was AA, and that was only for a couple of years. So, to have them kind of sit back and be like, oh, people are interested in what my road has been like, that's always fun too, and to give them an outlet for that. So think about that every time you're poring over like a front office sheet just to look at who's in your team's front office. Every one of those has a story. Every one of them has a road to what landed them there. And, I'm glad we got to be able to share Spins for a couple minutes there.
Very cool, and a big thanks to Spin. And that brings us to a very awkward transition into Ben's Biz Banter, in which we have no Benjamin Hill for this week. I wish we had like a jingle, and it would say, now here's Ben Hill, and then we would have to awkwardly come in and say, yeah, no.
Yeah,
but
remember
no,
last
no.
week when we said we were going to try to impersonate him? I was thinking about it all week.
Did you work on it?
Like, I don't even know how to do it. I really can't.
Yeah. I don't think.
I think that's like the best compliment we can give to Ben is that.
Yeah. He's just a regular dude. He's a good dude.
What is the saying?
You can't impersonate just a regular dude.
What is it?
Yeah.
Not impersonation.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. But yeah, no, we're gonna flatter Ben by saying we cannot impersonate him. We'll go that way.
Okay, I like it. So we're going to dive into a little bit of Ben's Biz Banter without Ben, and we are going to go basically full on with the New Orleans Baby Cakes, who are the newest minor league baseball identity heading into the 2017 season. Now, we are not done in rebranding season. Just as a very brief note, we're still waiting on Staten Island, which I believe is the final domino to fall. But so far this offseason, we have Rumble Ponies, Fire Frogs, Wood Ducks, Baby Cakes. Who am I missing?
Jumbo Shrimp?
Jumbo Shrimp. Because they were the sneaky one.
Forget.
They were the sneaky one that just came out of nowhere.
How quickly we forget.
So Baby Cakes is out there, and this was fun because leading into the day on which this was unveiled, which was Tuesday the 15th, on Monday night, there were some teasers that went out into Tuesday on the New Orleans website, and everybody thought, oh, we cracked the case, because at first, when you went to ZephyrsBaseball.com, formerly the New Orleans Zephyrs, it said the official site of the New Orleans Baby Cakes. And everybody thought, oh, what a leak. We figured it out. But then, like a few hours later, then it said official site of the New Orleans Tailgaters. And then a few hours after that, it said official site of the, what was the other one? Red Eyes. I think Red Eyes was one of them.
Too.
And then, like, and Night Owls. And when you Google search, Night Owls was the one that came up. So that was like a brilliant masterstroke of throwing people off. But Baby Cakes is it. Mardi Gras themed colors. A little baby with the old snarl, the famous Brandio snarl coming out of a cake. Your thoughts, Sam, on the Baby Cakes?
Let's just point out the things that are very New Orleans centric in this, I guess. For those who don't know, a baby cake is kind of like a Mardi Gras staple, I'm pretty sure. So the way it works is...
Yeah, so the cake is actually the king cake, right? And then you hide the baby in it.
And then somebody finds the baby in the cake, and that's what gives it a baby cake. But what makes this kind of...
we get paid.
Yeah, this is when we're really missing Ben. Ben could, I'm sure, break down this all much better than we could. But the basic colors for this are, purple, gold, and green. Like Tyler said, there's the baby snarl wearing the king's crown, so that's a nod to the king cake as well. And one of the logos is, kind of your French flourish of an N with a cake that looks like an O with a crown. So there's some New Orleans stuff here for sure. Also, they released some of their alternate uniforms, which feature the Pelicans.
Yeah, which is really
look
cool.
Amazing, I gotta say.
And not that, and that's what's kind of I guess, a little bit confusing. When you think New Orleans Pelicans now, you think of the NBA team, but the New Orleans Pelicans, a longtime name for the baseball team in town. The most recent team, the New Orleans Zephyrs, moved to New Orleans from Denver in 1993, so it hasn't been a team named there for a long time. That's kind of New Orleans baseball history is the New Orleans Pelicans.
Right. And Zephyrs came from Denver, if I'm not. So
right.
Zephyrs, the reason why they got rid of Zephyrs was it wasn't really a New Orleans thing per se. I think there was like some spin that
there was a roller coaster at a theme park in the New Orleans area that was very famous that was called the Zephyr, and that's why they kept that name. But yeah, it was not a name that was when the franchise moved, they didn't just pick up a brand new identity.
When you think New Orleans, you think loud and proud, and you think of everybody, bands walking down the street, and you think of a party scene, and you think of just a very proud culture. And Zephyr didn't quite call that into me. I'm not from New Orleans. I'm not from Louisiana, in case you can't tell from my accent. Or I think lack thereof. So I don't know exactly how this plays with those folks. We went. Ben would always caution us on this, and that these things go through cycles. So this came out, last night on Tuesday, and the immediate pushback was just as loud as a New Orleans street band. But, maybe people will kind of warm to it. That's at least the hope. It's got one of the coolest now Twitter accounts, I think, in baseball, Cakes Baseball, which just sounds amazing. And this is going to be the next step. It used to be the Biscuits. I think they take over from the Biscuits now in the team that's just going to always make me hungry when we're covering it. So that's going to be the kind of effect on us. We'll see how it plays out in the coming months. We'll see how it plays out over the Christmas shopping season, whether people rush to get these. But yeah, the New Orleans Baby Cakes are our new team on the landscape. And they kind of fit into that. I think we talked about it with Ben before he left. This two-name structure. The Rumble Ponies, the Jumbo Shrimp, the Baby Cakes. We're going away from smashing two words together, capitalizing the middle one. So we, Rail Riders, Rubber Ducks, that kind of thing. Going away from that now, they're two distinct words. But when we're talking about Staten Island to come, how are they going to play into that with Pizza Rats or Bridge Trolls? I think the only one that doesn't fit that structure is Heroes. So can we cross that one off the list? I don't know. We're going to have to see. That would have been my favorite, my betting favorite for Staten Island, but giving the, I guess, minor league landscape now when it comes to team names, that I think goes to the back of the pack, but we'll have to see what effect this kind of has going forward.
You know what else I like about this Baby Cakes identity is they have in addition to, Sam mentioned, they have the Pelicans throwback uniforms, which are, recreations of what the old school uniforms looked like for the New Orleans Pelicans. They also have a shield logo, an alternate logo that features the Zephyr Z and that old Pelicans logo. And I think that's really cool, too, to pay tribute to the history of baseball.
I think if they had that on a hat, that would sell very well.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that featured exclusively on the hats itself yet. A lot of them, like the Pelicans ones, have just the Pelican, or then there's one that has N with like a circle around it to be NO. They have one that's NOLA. So there's that one, and then there's the basic ones with the King Baby face, and then the King Baby holding the bat, which seem to be kind of grandiose staples at this point. But if they wanted to put that crest onto a hat, I think that would sell really, really well. Just an idea going forward.
We're open for business, Brandios / New Orleans Baby Cakes / whoever. Like, if you need ideas, we have ideas, obviously.
Now that we know your identity, we have ideas on what you could have done differently. Because we are members of the internet. So we have opinions, and now you need to hear them.
Yes. The discourse. Oh, man. So the Baby Cakes are it. They are the newest and freshest face on the minor league scene, at least for the next couple of weeks, as we eagerly await the which way Staten Island will be going in very short order ahead of the holidays. And that will be the last one to fall in the 2016 rebrand season, which has been a busy one. Last year, I feel like, was a little bit quiet, and this year we have had a ton of new identities in minor league baseball.
Yeah, no, this this is going to be super confusing, I think, in April for us.
Yeah, no, that's true.
God bless our editors. God bless our editors, full stop. But God bless our editors who are going to be like yelling at us, just saying like, they're not the Mets anymore. It's like, yeah, I know.
Stop writing Zephyrs. You can still write Hillcats though. So, he is Benjamin Hill. You can find him on Twitter. He's at Ben's Biz. And you can check out the blog, bensbiz.mlblogs.com. No, we will be catching up with Ben again next week as we get set to head into Thanksgiving. And there will be, of course, obviously more fallout from the baby cakes. If you really want to feel for a person's life in social media, just go look through the replies to the initial baby cakes tweets, which, we've discussed this time and time again. There's the initial freak out, the I'm never coming to another game, this is an embarrassment, fire your marketing people, what a joke. And then there's okay, it's a little bit fun. And then there's, look at how sweet these hats are. I'm going to buy one of these hats. And then people are in the ballpark and everything's great. So New Orleans is in the very early phases of that right now. And that is not a fun phase to go through if you're a front office. But that's where they are right now. So you really want to feel good about, not being the person to have to look through the mentions. Go look through the mentions because they are
and they
something.
Got the Shaq
really something. Yeah, exactly.
So that's
that works.
Start. I think that should just be their response to all the trolls. Just Shaq over and over saying, "I am a baby cake."
Yeah, no, I think that's probably the best troll stopping one-up move anybody could make on social media for a minor league baseball team. I think that's pretty perfect. So we'll be talking with Ben again next week, and in the meantime, congratulations to the New Orleans Baby Cakes. Looking forward to see you take the field next season in the Pacific Coast League. We're gonna put a nice, tidy, neat little bow on the 84th episode of the Show Before the Show podcast coming up next. Wrapping up this week's edition of the Show Before the Show podcast. You can get in touch with us. We are on Twitter, and we are on the old email machine, and we are everywhere else you can find us. Podcast at MILB.com. Questions, thoughts, comments, concerns. You want our takes on Thanksgiving dinner, what the best type of pie is, what our favorite side dish is. Go ahead and send us your inquiries, and we will be happy to address them in next week's Thanksgiving edition of the show. Sam is on Twitter. He's at Sam Dykstra, MILB. I am on Twitter at Tyler Mon, although I've been just very depressed and overly emotional on Twitter as of late, which really, I guess, isn't that different from normal, but instead of being about hats, it's about like the real world, and who cares about that?
I mean, that's just Twitter.
Stupid.
So, again,
yeah, true.
I'm going to wrap this up as I began it, as Kate Upton has showed us today. Sometimes it's okay to get emotional online.
She is a shining light for all of us. She is mad online tonight. It's very impressive work. But until next week, thanks for tuning in to the Show Before the Show podcast. This weekend, coming up on Saturday, the Arizona Fall League comes to a close on MLB Network. The championship game will crown a title winner in the AFL, and congratulations to all those guys who have had terrific seasons down in the AFL, and a big thanks to all of them for joining us. By the time you all hear this episode, I will have a story, an AFL notebook, talking with Brent Honeywell of the Tampa Bay Rays organization. That'll be up on the site, so you can check that out. Check out Sam's Toolshed stuff that we talked about earlier on in the show as well. I think that's all, Sam.
Yeah, we'll be joining everybody next Wednesday. So
happy final weekend before Thanksgiving, everyone.
Preparing your stomachs now.
Yeah, prepare your stomachs and bring a list of topics of things that you want to talk about, because could be a long Thanksgiving for all of us. Talk to you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the final weekend before Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you then.